know that I'd want it on.
Hey, do you want to sit? You can sit over here. I'm just sitting, have to be there.
See where all the power is.
I thought July 19th was so far away. Yeah.
I know.
It's crazy.
Nauseous.
It's a cool cup.
I like the fact that it's recognized as a C. It doesn't have a. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I do like it. Take a bait. Settle. Sure. Okay.
Yep.
No, I didn't want.
Yep.
Is everybody okay? All right. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Kern City School Board for July 17th to order. And I first also want to thank Mrs. Mass for graciously volunteering to record our meeting tonight. So if you would call the roll, please.
Absolutely. Mrs. Hartley?
Here.
Mrs. Hinners? Here. Dr. LeFay? Here. Mrs. Mast? Here. Mr. Jones?
Here. Thank you. You all stand for the pledge.
And to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Now, item 2, approval of agenda. Just need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Yes.
Mrs. Hinners?
Yes.
Oh, wait.
I was going to say, yeah, and I almost, is there any discussion? I apologize. No discussion. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
Mrs. Hinners?
Yes.
Dr. LeFay?
Yes.
Mrs. Hartley?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mast? Yes.
Okay, thank you. And item 3 is audience community comments. Anybody have any? Oh. Thank you. The floor is yours.
I'm Dick Shank, class of 57.
Oh, nice to meet you.
All right. And there's some pictures.
Where'd I lose
Veterans
control?
Memorial.
What point did I?
This is the last one. Okay, I'm in the. The flagpole and the monument. Anyhow,
This is it.
this is all the weeds here. I got the wreath up. The weeds wrong, the thing here. And I'm gonna take the flag down at half mast and rip.
Oh no.
So I go out the park. Here's thing about this here.
Okay.
It was a rotten shame. So I get a email from a guy over here, Paul. I just got an iPad, so I didn't know about some stuff.
Okay.
So he said he'd honor you about, got the
Cross country.
cross country.
Dr. Town said that.
Pulling the weeds out. Where's the picture? That's a long photo. That picture. Those you give me that, yeah, yeah, open. So this was him in the hair. And look how nice it looks in there.
Yeah.
So I gotta give him a lot of credit for doing it. Black I got good eyes. Let me get this thing turned around. Right here, underneath the window, can you see where the concrete's all breaking up?
Mm-hmm.
This is another squat, something ought to be done about that. There now.
You're absolutely right. One of them just went to districts in softball, so it was worthwhile, huh?
I'm gonna make sure we sponsor a boy or so. Anyhow, this is what I took, look at the bottom, I think it's 12, so that's what 12 years ago. And the leaves are starting to come.
Okay.
So,
Through the mulch.
I gotta give them credit, at least they did something, because it was shabby, but,
Sounds like we need to have a regular sign up for this.
well, I don't know, it's up to you, I mean,
Yeah,
you're the boss over there.
He's gonna work on that.
we're gonna get on
I
it.
didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we still got the CrossFit. And it's under my skin, because I went to school 12 years ago. In Ohio Street. That's still Ohio Street. And the other thing, see what, the C on the McCormick, somebody had it taken down, I think it was like Ed there.
I had it taken.
He had it taken down. To find out, I guess the letters across it, McCormick or plywood.
That's what you told me. I didn't know that.
Well, I stopped up on the mechanic, so I can, here in the mechanic. He wasn't there, but I talked to his wife and his one boy, and about seeing their sign was cut out in stainless steel in front of it. Do anybody ever get up? Hey, just like Phyllis Walker, don't you ever get out of town, go from Main Street up to the bar, that's as far as she went. Hey,
Mr. Shank,
I get wound up, but anyhow. Okay, there's a road out here, that kind of. They got a real nice sign there, name, spell out.
I'll work
It's
there.
in writing. But anyway.
Something
But
to
I'm
look at.
gonna talk to Rick when he gets, he had to go, he was there. He was up in Michigan doing something, but anyhow. Talked to him, that might be something else there, who's the other guy? And Ray was slipping away. He can't remember, but get right now. Paul, no.
Chad. Yeah, Chad.
About doing something there. But anyhow,
Thanks.
Yeah.
anyhow.
We want things to look good.
And your husband's a good surgeon, so he did my attorney years ago.
Well, thank you. I'll let him know you said so.
Thanks, Mr. Shank.
And do you wanna see the picture of what it looks like now?
I know what it looks like now.
Okay, everybody, does anybody drive down Ohio Street?
I do.
I do.
All the
Okay.
time.
My son was the one who
Yeah,
got
they
the
organized it.
better to
Yeah.
do it.
Well, good.
Bought the mulch for it, so.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah, he's aware. And they
Yeah.
run by there all the time, so they see these
Yeah.
little.
I really appreciate it, I mean, she's part of my, right here, so, just take care of it.
Thanks.
And then I know you sold Sean A, but what are you gonna do with the money? Are you gonna save, don't be like a drunk sailor and blow it all? Save a little bit, or something like that, fix them.
That's just it. Yeah. So Ohio Revised Code requires us to use it for. I'm going to talk. Sorry.
Go ahead.
For capital improvement projects, we can't use it for salary benefits or other expenses like that. But I'll be working with the incoming interim or full-time treasurer and the board to decide where those funds are going to be allocated. Because I'm not sure about his attendance tonight, but he is in the final month of service with Huron. Yeah. So yep. So we'll be, as a board and me and the treasurer, because once you spend it, you can't spend it again. So we're going to be judicial about how we do that. Yep. So
The other thing, okay, so these kids are going to Woodlands, correct?
Correct. Yeah, Woodlands will have preschool through 5th grade.
It's like getting out of high school.
Well,
What are we going to do? Okay, out there, it was a fiasco, coming out and doing what, 2:30, 3 o'clock, all the parents picking the kids up. On Route 2, get off the Rag Beach Road, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, them cars are almost in front of the new boat place. So now you got these cars that
Yeah, so if you wait for my report time at the board meeting here tonight, I'll share a little bit more of that.
we have to move on.
okay, go.
So I think I appreciate you coming, but
Thank you, Mr. Chief.
it should be 5 minutes for each topic. But thank you, seriously. Okay, next is number 4, administrative reports, and that's Dr. Arveri.
So, if you recall, every year Holly and I do our little song and dance about federal budgets and what's coming in and all that good stuff. This year, the rules have changed. So, you will see farther down on the agenda where you're asked to approve those budgets. In the past, they are not included in the 5-year forecast, they just are what they are, and life goes on. So, a little bit of a law change, and so that does require action now on your part. So, the meeting Holly and I used to do that I thank you for all graciously attending, nobody else has. So we also tried last year to do an online kind of input kind of thing. We didn't get any takers on that either. So just to recap what you will see in that budget, Title I is up over last year, which is good because we were a little worried about the mechanism on how that is formulated as it's based off free and reduced lunch applications and whatnot. So with that, we got about $252,000, and if you look in there, you will see a different number, about $282,000. So what we do is, in our allocation for 2A, we are allowed to move that money around in consultation with our non-public friends because it impacts them. So to cover our costs, I did move money up into Title I from that line. Title 2A can only be spent on 2 things: professional development and reduction of class size. We don't meet the requirement for class size reduction, so that only leaves professional development. So there is, you'll see in there, about $15,000 that's still left in that account that we can use for certain professional development. It's based on our professional development plan, so we work on that and have some things started ready to go for fall as those dollars are concerned. You'll also see too, non-public also gets a part of all of this. That is not something we dictate. It's a formula. It's given to us. We're flow through. So we do provide services over to our non-public friends. And through Title I this year, we're also doing, it's called pooling. Other school districts pay us to serve their students in those buildings. So those are in the works. I heard from 2 districts today, so we'll get that going. Title IV was recently reinstated a few years ago, and we do use that money. You're supposed to use it for well-rounded educational opportunities. We use it to help support our guidance counselors over at McCormick. So again, non-public gets a little bit of that. And then, of course, in special education, IDEA Part B and early childhood, those allocations are listed. We use those, quite frankly, for as much staff as possible. So that allocation covers 2 intervention specialists full-time. It covers Dana's position, and then the few dollars that are left we put in PD. So we'll be using that all up. And then the early childhood money, which I don't think is listed, it's state flow-through money. We get about $10,000, and that is also used to cover a little bit of salary. So we squeeze out every penny that we can. There will probably be an adjustment when the 90/30 reports are done. And that basically is just a cleaning up of all the accounts to see what might be left. And those would get rolled over in a budget update. It just depends when the state gets it. We have to have the reporting done by September 30th, lovingly referred to as the 9/30 report. And then when the state gets around to it to get us back, typically it's in February. So we'll do a budget revision then anyway too, because they redo allocations at that point from our non-public friends not using it or people turning back money. I'd like to say we'll get more. Sometimes they take some away. So we'll look forward to that in February. But the other good news, is the track update. So I don't know if you had a chance to drive by, but it's looking pretty spiffy. Vasco was out last week to finish up that last layer. They took all the visqueen down, started cleaning up the site, and are preparing for the striper to come on out. So Al got a communication today that could potentially happen as early as tomorrow. So we got a mid-morning, can you be at the track? And so I did reach out and I was like, what's your idea of mid-morning? I could be there 8 o'clock with coffee. So I didn't get anything back. So we'll just punt that tomorrow and hope for good weather. Once the area is striped, it's a 24-hour dry curing period. And then we can look at where we're at with the drainage and the fence and potentially meet our deadline of July 30th. So looking better than it was a couple weeks ago. So I'm very excited that it looks gorgeous. Don Hardy is keeping an eagle eye out from the Huddle camera, and he is putting together for us a time-lapse video of the project. So, and he gives us updates when things aren't looking right too from that thing. And I'm like, Don, I can't see what you're looking at, but okay. So he's been a tremendous help, and appreciate that he's doing that work for us. So yeah, we are coming to the end. I asked for a walkthrough punch list review out on the track with both Vasco and with Sportsworks. So that is being scheduled. And like I said, once that southwest gate gets fixed and the drainage between pole vault and track, we're looking pretty good. So, yeah. Any questions?
Julie, I have a quick question. Just the federal funds, are they on a federal fiscal year of October 1 to September 30th, or what's their?
No. So, no. So they might be at the state level to get us our allocations, but we get the application June 15th, and by law have to have it returned June 30th. And I say by law because in the law that says if you don't have your substantially approved date by July 1st, whatever expenses fall between July 1st and that substantially approved date cannot be expensed back to the federal budgets. So I put James and Paul on notice, like, when I'm ready to go, you guys have to be there to hit the button because it's June 30th. So yeah, to hit the budget to put it in. Yeah. And then the kicker is they get back to you and they get back to you. But you have a July 1 substantially approved date.
So you can go back and charge things back.
Yep.
So I just want to also thank you for your tremendous project management skills on the track project. And that's a huge undertaking. And having just taken a project management course this summer, I have infinite appreciation and awareness of what goes into the details of project management. So I just want to thank you for that because it was really incredible.
Yeah, we had a great team. Everybody group text and can you get to a meeting? Can you get sometimes the weather dictated when we could do things. So it's been good. So we're in the home stretch. Knock on wood.
But the weather was cooperating with us, wasn't it? Thank you very, very much. Okay, next item is a treasurer's report, which, unless somebody has burning issues or they want to bring up, or kind of hard to do without here, so. Okay. Then, Dr. Tatman, have a seat.
Okay. All right. I have just a few items to discuss. First is just a kind of an update on where we are with the building consolidation. So June was a very busy month. June 20th to the 23rd, we had the outside movers, the contracted movers come and complete moving the most significant items out of Shawnee and over to Woodlands, and the 6th grade teachers from Woodlands to McCormick. And really, they guesstimated 4 days, and they were done halfway through that 4th day. And they continually complimented how everything was organized, everything was ready to go, so they could just lift and move and do the grunt work. So that's really an effort that all of our staff did, from teachers, support staff, to the custodians that worked 12 months, and the summer crew that helped prep all that material. So big thank you to everyone for that. And then as I walk around the buildings, Woodlands and McCormick, we're already starting to see staff setting up their classrooms for the new school year. And there are some classrooms, I think I tweeted it out, that there are some classrooms that look like they could have kids tomorrow. So Not all of them, but there are a lot along the way, and it's fun when you have like a kind of a cloudy, rainy day. There's more staff in there setting up their classrooms than on a nice day like today. And then just finally with Shawnee, there are some larger items that we still have to relocate off the property into another. So like sheds and things like that, larger things that we're working through. We have some time, but that time's gonna go quick. So the next item is obviously the Shawnee auction and sale. Congratulations to the board. You've successfully auctioned and sold your property. So that is very exciting. We had a kind of final moments rally, which was exciting to watch and see. And at one point, because the auction was supposed to end at 7, and it was like 7:08, and the clock was still ticking. So I called the auctioneer and said, "Hey, I thought this ended at 7." And he goes, "It does, but every time a bid comes in, it goes another 10 minutes." And I said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." So very different than you did. So, so if someone couldn't say, "Well, the clock beat me," they had that opportunity, so that was good. But right now we're working with the auctioneer and the buyer who, as far as for close on that sale property, the buyer remains confidential to us. At some point here, we'll know who they are. But there was a $40,000 down payment, non-refundable, that was required within 24 hours. That payment was made. That money transfer was received by the auctioneer. And then we're looking at transfer date as early as September. So the mid-September range is when that could officially transfer. And we're working through that, working to secure a title agency and all those other parts. It's more complicated than selling your home. And if you've ever sold a home or bought a home, you know that that's a lot of paperwork and a lot of complications there. So we're getting support through that process. The remaining group here at Shawnee's property is the central office staff. And so while our final location will be the high school campus, we may need to find a temporary location until offices are ready. Part of that was we didn't want to start a project and then still have this property that we had to manage. Also, we needed some potentially some capital funds to run some renovation project that we might need to do. Previously in April, the board approved the project for a bid design by AVG, our master facility architect. We could reopen that. We could also say, based on the estimates and what we're trying to accomplish, let's hold back on that. So I'm open to board's input on that. Part of me says, let's put it out to bid like we were going to plan to do in April, see what those costs are, and if they're too high, then we're not going to do it. We'll punt and figure out something else and go from there. That way we can at least say, we considered that process truly, and we decided, hey, it works on the numbers, or no, it doesn't. So I'm continuing to kick that around as I go here. The next update about safety and security. So I've talked a lot every month about it, but just in review, the entryway window film project that's been completed, that was paid through with state safety grant money. So all entryways that have a glass window now have that secure film, which will slow entry from a bad person. We also have radio installation. That part is complete. So we now have radios that can talk from building to building through a repeater system, and also the radios can talk with safety services directly. So we can go right to dispatch. So there'll be some training on that in August as we get going with secretaries back and whatnot. And so that'll be a nice layer of protection there. Then we also have at Woodlands that badge call system that's being installed. So we're working on that installation now. A little more logistics of it than I thought, as far as they need our IP addresses and floor plans and that kind of stuff. But once it comes together, it's going to be good as far as not like a bad person, breaching the security of the building, but even, student with a bloody nose, we need some help down the hallway. They can use that badge system to call for help. So that'll be wonderful. It is recognized we have some physical upgrades that we've desired, like a safe, a secure entrance at the high school. Those will not be in place in August. So working with the admin team, we're reviewing non-physical ways to enhance security. So that would be better procedures for when visitors, student pickup, drop-off material happens at the buildings. How can we make those procedures better, which will add to security? and those types of ideas. So we're working through those as we get ready for the new school year. And then also, it comes back to the dismissal procedure at Woodlands. So we've also reviewed entry and dismissal procedures at the buildings, making sure that in the morning when kids are coming in, it's a manned door. So there's an adult there just observing, making sure everyone's coming in safely and neatly. And, the people who are supposed to be coming in are coming in, and those who aren't are not. With dismissal, we're looking to improve that as well. So in the spring, I rode 3 bus routes. And so I got to experience that from the pickup at McCormick to then going over to Woodlands and Shawnee and going out on the routes. Definitely one thing noticed was that when we dismiss all the kids at the same time, there's now car riders and walkers traversing the roadways where buses are trying to go. So we're looking at having a staggered dismissal. So bus riders will be dismissed first. Once the buses start rolling, then walkers and car riders will be dismissed. And we're hoping 2 things. Number one, that it's safer. So as the buses are coming down Buckeye or going up Dogwood, those smaller side streets, they're not trying to navigate around student walkers. But then also, we're hoping that as a parent picks up their kid and then gets home, they'll also see that bus rolling by because it'll shorten ride times and improve those ride times, that the parent will finally say, you know what, school buses are the safest way to transport a kid to and from school, and it can get you home just as fast as me waiting in that long line on Lake Erie Parkway. Yeah. So we're hoping that it'll increase ridership, because then there is some bill back to the state for ridership, and that's based on kids on the bus. So not kids scheduled for the bus, kids actually riding the bus. So we're hoping that that'll increase safety and decrease the line up there at that. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And then over here at Shawnee, Mr. Crucible and his staff, they had the kids line up in the hallways, and they would call out the kid. They would know who the parent is, and they call them out one at a time. They wouldn't just release them. He's looking to bring that process over. It doesn't really increase the amount of time it takes to release, but it helps those little ones stay safe, and we don't have a mob out there and mom or grandma's trying to navigate around them. So yeah, he's looking to bring that process that's here that works really well over to Woodland. So that'll help too. And then the last one, meeting with the admin team, especially as we get into August, just reviewing those safety drills and other safety-related tasks that we're obligated to do, fire drills, tornadoes, lockdowns, all that stuff, and working with our local safety services, keeping them involved in that. So they're familiar with the building, so when they come in for a need, it's not the first time they've been in the building. Just working through that. Any questions about safety and security?
Yes. What is the plan for the entryway of high school? I mean, I heard what you said, but what about the plan to physically move the entrance?
Yeah,
What
so
happened?
to physically move it, that is within that bid project. So if we put that out to bid, that's part of it, is doing that entryway.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't understand. I didn't understand that he said that. No, please go ahead.
Can we segment that so that, like when it's part of the project? Because we may say not yet to all of it, but expedite like the entrance.
Yeah.
Right, like that.
Yeah, so AVG designed the bid. It's one bid, but 2 separate projects, so to speak. And one is like the entranceway high school office, and then the other is the central office project. Now, the architect said, people are going to bid this like it's one project, and that's how the price will be. So if you end up only doing some of the project, they might come back and say, well, we need to tweak the money a little bit. Because if you're bringing a contractor in to do something, and now the project's smaller than what you thought they were going to do, it might tweak a little bit. But yeah, definitely, we could look at that. And that could be the solution, right? Let's get the secure part done. We have some state money to help us with that project. And soon we'll have some Shawnee money to help us with that project. And then the central office part we'll figure out next. So yeah, that totally could be a way to approach it. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
All right. The next one I'd like to talk about is just an update on the swim program. So we're not necessarily close to the season, but we'll be here quick for preseason workouts. We have a posting for the head swim coach and the assistant swim coach that remain open on our employment website. We continue to have no candidates, and that's I don't want to say expected, but it's also not a surprise. The swim network is a tight group, and there's not a lot of like swim coaches. So I know some are trying to poach others and in the region, and so we're part of that recruitment effort. The other is the swim facility. We do currently have the third year of our 3-year rental with the facility that we used the past 2 years. We are looking at other pool options around us. The immediate vicinity, they're not options. So they've all replied back that they won't even provide a quote for renting because their pool use is already maxed out. So those options are limited. And we did receive one quote from a pool that travel time is about the same as what our pool is now, and it does not have all the features that the current pool has as far as starting blocks, timer system, and smaller locker rooms. But so I guess there is a possible option. And just sharing, we're not doing it today. There's no action for it today or anything like that, but just throwing out there that if we have to decide to suspend the program because we don't have a viable facility or a coach or both, the district could consider sponsoring another program or a club swim that would allow our swimmers to swim and compete as Huron swimmers, and that would allow them to earn a varsity letter. The other option would be we just suspend swim. We continue with dive, but we suspend swim, and kids can go swim for a club, but it wouldn't be a varsity recognized sport with the district. So there's other options. You know, for me, it's about experiences for kids. You know, there are some that, you know, really thrive in that environment, and there's others that are exploring it, and it helps them develop their leadership or self-fitness or whatever. So to simply say we're not going to have it, I'm not there yet, but I'm also realistic. If we don't have a coach, I can't, or a facility, I can't coach. I can't. I could coach wrestling, maybe football, but not swim. No. Yes.
You know, we have a lot of the parents, and I know some of them, those kids have graduated, but some of them were underclassmen this year that gave us a lot of feedback, were engaged, and, you know, or maybe reached out. A lot of them are also like kind of in this swim club world,
Right.
like the Browns, like, you know, we reached out to many of them to try and almost like an advisory group to see, you know, and tap those resources, then open with them about the kind of the state of things and explore solutions alongside of them. It just seems like they're probably our subject matter
Yes.
experts within the district on swimming, and it would be a shame to have it go untapped while we still have some time to maybe work out a solution.
Yeah, so I've talked with a representative from the board of Vacation Swim Club, VSC, and she has given me some insight as far as, you know, we roughly had about 20 swimmers. 11 of them were swimming with the VSC. So if you figure another, let's round up and say another 12, you know, do they have the capacity to host that many more? And then ultimately the board could sponsor. So then our swimmers would be swimming with that club, but then they could go to state recognized contests and, you know, districts and state and swim under the Huron banner. So they have a board meeting in early August, and that board is planning to talk about that a little bit, not even specifically Huron, but just in general. Would we accept sponsorship districts, and what's the feasibility and things like that. So yes, I am talking with representatives from the pool, who might also be the same person you named. So, but yeah.
Would that like then obviate the facility question because
Yes.
they would go through Perkins?
Yep, correct. Yep. So if we were partnered with VSC, then we'd swim at that location, which is Perkins. So the only other part is our current facility host would like to know if we're going to terminate our contract, which we can do up to 30 days before the season starts, because they have interest from other schools to dive into that pool, and they're kind of holding them back until they hear what. Sorry, that's terrible. So yeah, so I'd like to get that one answered too. We're not going to go that way, and that was one that when I talked with that board member, she was going to find out more. She said another district has done what we've talked about, and their cost was reasonable. It was more reasonable than the expense of a pool rental, coaches, and transportation. So there's, yeah, when you start,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was extraordinary. Yeah.
Yes,
it is, yes. So when you start teasing out all those extra expenses, there's there are resources there if we change direction and do something different, right? But I don't want to like throw a number out, and if they're listening, and they're like, "Oh, let's negotiate there." That's correct. Yeah, like to have more for the board by August. Yep.
I guess a question I would have too is if that number would include transportation because it's still offsite.
Yeah. So for that, that's a great question. You know, we use tennis courts that are not ours. We use cross country fields that are off our property, and for practices, we do not transport those kids. Part of the transport to our current pool facility is distance and the traverse of the bridge. In those winter months, it can be treacherous. So if we were at a facility closer to us, I think that transportation could come off that table as far as it's just an expense or a hardship for the kids that they have to take on, just like some of our other sports do. Yeah. So.
I did. Does this also translate into junior high swim, or is this solely?
Yeah, so junior high swim, for me, that sponsorship that the district would have is so that you can get that varsity letter and you can compete at that high school state competition. So for middle school swimmers, they might just join the club as like separate entity, or if the board said let's try to do it all, then we could try to do it all. But yeah, we do have a good interest at the middle school level too for swim. So,
But
and that's
they
the
have an
feeder.
opportunity if they wanted to. They could do the club swim.
Correct.
So
Yep,
it
they
wouldn't
could.
just be suspended if there was that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the one of the negatives of doing it by way of club is that you might have those fringe kids that are like, I want to try it. My friend's going. I'm going to check it out. That might make it harder to go, for that kid. For the fully vested, I'm a swimmer. I'm like hoping to be the next Michael Phelps. They'll just be like, yeah, pool's a pool. I'll go swim. And if I'm a club, that's what it is. So.
There are other sports available for those kids who
And
are
that's true.
on the fringe of that. And I mean, we're a high school without a pool. The fact that we offer swim at all, I think, is remarkable.
Yeah, and you're right. There's other sports and like arts, right? So band, choir, dramatics that they could be doing.
And I just have one more question. So, if it did end up going to the point where we had to have swim be a club sport, do we then have to provide a coach for that club sport, or does that club get absorbed by the other swim team, and that swim team's coach is then Huron's coach?
Yeah, my understanding is the club would provide the coach, and then they would charge. So to be an athlete in the club, you have to pay a membership.
Right.
So then the district would take on that membership expense, and that's where like I need to hear from them what that number is to make sure it's not like something way outside of our already allocated funds for the sport. Yeah. So. Yeah, of course. I do always keep the union. Yeah, I keep the union informed of things. Really, they're I don't want to speak for them. Typically, they're like, if you've posted it and there's nobody in house that wants it, then be creative for kids. So for a while, correct. Yeah. So yeah, I do need to work with them. I don't see big resistance from that front. Yeah. Hopefully Mary James isn't.
I'm excited about a viable.
Yeah, I'd love to have a viable option where we can still recognize kids for their swimming accomplishments, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about, right? Kids having that experience and an opportunity. The last is just I don't want to get too deep into this, but district revenues. As consideration district revenues, we're always very sensitive to every dollar that comes in. Delinquent tax properties and those types of activities. There's also this idea of consideration when tax abatements come in. And I
It's another
this is something,
topic,
yeah,
district revenue.
it's not listed there, but I want to talk
It's
about it.
not on
Oh,
your
okay.
piece.
So, from my personal perspective, tax abatement it can be a tool to attract businesses into the area from outside the region. It also can be a tool to foster community growth of industry and support overall strong community with diverse residential, industrial, commercial properties that balance out finances. Um, to me, they should be limited in award because it really needs to do one of those two things. It needs to attract businesses from outside the region, and it needs to support that industrial growth of the community. So as requests comes up, also as requests come up to the city, there's other entities involved in that process. So that would be the schools, obviously, but the county, EHOVI, because that's part of the school program as well, and then the city and township, wherever that property lies. So as if one were to come up, I guess with one treasury department and an interim coming in, I think I'm going to have to kind of lead those discussions as the board, as the representative. If there's any additional thoughts or philosophy on that, I'd love to hear it, just so that I don't go in one direction and then there's members of the board thinking that was not what I would have done. So I can just leave that out there. Or
There isn't like one out there that's kind of in limbo, though, right? Valley Ford had proposed something, and as I understand, it's kind of like stuck in neutral with regional planning. And I don't know who to make the first move, but it's probably something that just out of the township had kind of almost thoughts
Right.
what if acts they would do at their last meeting. But it's probably something that we ought to just figure out what they need from us, if anything, or if it's just gonna kind of die and go nowhere. What are your response to that? My philosophy is I don't have any problem with any different asking for this. I think we should take them one by one and weigh out exactly what you're saying based on the specific facts. I wouldn't want to say we're never, but we're always. It should be, we'll listen and make the best decision based on the facts presented.
yeah, and you're right. There is one kind of floating out there. So
There is a way that it just gets jammed past us, right? Like there's a whole
Yes.
statutory where they can, if they go for a few and a half years or 2.5%, that they don't need our approval at all. Although they do need the and or the city's approval. There's not a way to just bypass. So I think with the Valley Ford, for example, as I understand, made it clear that they're just not interested in granting an abatement. Even if they went with like a 10 or 10 to 60%, which wouldn't need our approval, the township's still gonna give it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are, just for the public's edification, there are situations where you just don't get a vote or say, and what happens is just we're still going through, depending on whether the city or township approves it.
right. Yeah, and like I said, I would think normally this is the treasurer's task, but because we're in limbo right now, I think I'm gonna have to, carry the baton a little bit. And it's not one of those items that you talk a lot about at superintendent class. So I'm learning on the fly, but I'm a quick study. So
It might be worth reaching out just to in this kind of transitional period to regional planning, or even the township administrator, just to see if anything's needed on our end.
right, all right, I can do that. So and then just to highlight some items off the agenda. On the agenda tonight, for my recommendations to the board is the second reading and approval of board policy related to 100% no tobacco use on campus, both students and adults. Working with the Department of Health, they're going to provide us some additional signage. And it's really, once the policy's there, it's the administering of it. And so doing it through informational, educational is better than like a fist or stick or whatever that saying is. So that's there. Also on there, OSBA student governance project. So this is something that OSBA reached out to me and said, we're creating this project where student governance and districts with student liaisons are invited to have their student participate. There's different sessions that are completed. So I shared that information with John and then with Lucy, and she quickly replied, "Yeah, I'm interested." So I'm excited to have her participate. They have different Zoom sessions, and then the capstone project is a session or presentation of some sort at OSBA conference in November. So she will be traveling to OSBA, and so some of those expenses is there for the board to approve, like reimbursing for mileage and meals and stuff. The other item is a recommendation from Food Services. So doing the meal analysis and reviewing the federal guidelines, recommendations from the federal guidelines. The recommendation was that we should increase our meal prices by 35 cents. Also with that, the recommendation said that, and there needs to be a minimum of a 10-cent increase. So talking with food service staff, talking with our food service consultant, we've decided to do the minimum increase of 10 cents, and we'll work our way over time up to that recommended rate, but to help parents' pocketbooks and to ensure that a significant price jump doesn't scare people away from buying that school lunch, we're making that minimum increment. And then final thought is just, Paul and I started here and Huron at the same time, and first year for an executive of an organization is a challenging one. So to have two executives for their first year, that creates just another layer of challenges. But I think we worked through many of them. We've done a lot in the year here with cleaning up some processes, procedures, consolidating down, being really, more fiscally minded on operational costs, and getting our arms better around that than maybe what's been in the most recent past. So I just wish him the best as he moves on to his next adventure. And that's it, unless there's any questions. Yeah, if at the August meeting, that'll be a fine time as far as for their timeline. Yeah. The question was, do we need to let our current pool facility know what we're doing?
Sorry
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hair conditioner is
So,
Johnny.
because I think I can just give notice. So if we're going in that direction, it doesn't have to necessarily wait till the board meeting. But yeah. So.
I guess the other question I have is regarding the, getting the title together and all of that. Is Betty going to be doing some of that, or is that falling on you?
Right now, it's falling on me. It would be nice to have maybe some support. And I don't know if our interim has done that kind of work before. We do have legal counsel helping us through that, and they're really going to lead the way. The question was, what title agency do you want? And the auctioneer said the buyer has no preference. And, well, this is the first school we've sold, so I don't think we have a big preference. I did say, we don't have a preference, but we'd like to use local if possible. And the board's attorney replied, yeah, we can use local if possible. You do want someone who has experience doing this because there are some nuances to school properties, specifically with we're exempt from property tax, and then when it becomes someone else's property, they'll start paying tax. So he was recommending some that have that experience. I think some might have dealt with Sandusky when they were, selling some of their properties. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working through that now, and I would say in the next 10 days I'll have more to share. But yeah, it's going well. So, anything else?
Anything else? Okay, so I think we're at item 8. Motion for approval of consent agendas, item 5 through 7.
So moved.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, I'm not in a rush.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Sorry, there's no page numbers. Right,
That's okay.
At least I printed it for you.
Who, or
Miss-
Me.
Miss
No.
Sarah. And then second. Okay, do we have any?
wait, who seconded? You did?
Hold on, you're right.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? questions, particularly about anything Mr. Tatman has on here?
Okay.
None? Okay. You're
Okay.
on. Thanks.
Mrs. Hartley?
Yes.
Mrs. Henners?
Yes.
Dr. Maffei?
Yes.
Mrs. Mast? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That was painless. Okay, number 9, you're in board policy. First reading, you're on.
Yeah, so this is the first reading of some board policy revisions. Student absence and excuses, it's cleaning up some language from a couple years ago when there was a pandemic. And then district records commission, records retention disposal, that is cleaning up. A few months ago, the board approved the records retention policy that then the Ohio Historical Society approved. So this is just aligning those two documents. And then the data and records retention, that's a rescind. So because of the new language in EHA and the record that was previously approved, EHAR is not necessary from OSBA. And then the last there is about board meeting minutes and just how to process those. Again, legislative cleanup, procedural cleanup. So.
No discussion for them? Okay. Next then is community representative report. Anybody have any?
We had a booster meeting on last Thursday, I think. I was unable to attend because I had a prior commitment for
Any
my
check.
job. So, yeah, I wasn't able to attend, but Amy will send me all the minutes and stuff like that.
Awesome. And anything joint? Anything?
Joint rec doesn't meet during the
Okay.
summer, and we had decided that we didn't need to be represented on that.
Yehovah, I was unable to make the last meeting because of my many appointments that I've had to keep, so I apologize. I understand there wasn't anything earth shattering with a quick meeting. So, okay. Any other discussion, questions?
I guess we can talk offline, but at some point, James, if we could probably rekindle the facilities or
Oh.
that piece, I think shifting now that we're close to shifting out of the consolidation, it'd be nice to start at least getting something on the books for the facilities, like the master planning and visioning process.
Yeah, sure. So right now, AVG, they're taking time to scan all of our existing blueprints for all of our campuses. And then they will take that report from OFCC from 2001 and validate it. And so they were funny. They're like, well, which buildings do you want validated? The high school? Woodlands? I said, yes.
All of the above.
Yes. So they're going to work through that process a little bit. And then in this fall, we'll start engaging with the community on, what are these big ideas? And then we'll try to bring it down to something. With the presidential primary in the spring of 2024, if you wanted to have a ballot issue for that March primary, the cutoff is sometime in like January 5th. So I don't anticipate us having that community engagement part done by January 5th to a point where we would know this is what we need to ask the voters for. So then that pushes that potential levy action or bond action at the November of 24 presidential election. And I'll double check, but I think that's like a May cutoff for that. So May, yeah, I'll double check.
August.
Is it August? Oh, we got plenty of time. I'm just kidding.
But
It'll
we
go
could
fast.
put on our August agenda to discuss dates, maybe out to community interaction if we're gonna try to plan that for the fall.
Yeah.
I think to probably pick up what Beth's saying, I think we probably want to start the conversation now, because I think we've sold Shawnee and folks are fairly asking like, what are you doing with all the money and kind of what's next, and
And I think we build, ideally we start building, even if the dates for the community meetings aren't going to be till October, that's
Right,
fine.
right.
We can start laying out, I think, hey, here's what's next and when, and what this process looks like, and here's the options to get involved, right? And then, make sure that we give plenty of time for people to understand, be heard, digest what's going on, right? And be open to the idea that, like, we're all going to enter into this with, I think a lot of people have strong thoughts on what they'd like to see happen, but I think the five of us have talked about, like, we're going to go in with open minds and let the process dictate the outcome, right? That, like, the facts and the data and what the community says will help us either validate what people say is a good idea, or maybe put something that's a little out of the box on the table for us.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, when we were interviewing architect firms, AVG, one of them, it was AVG, but one of their architects said, don't think of it as thinking outside the box. Think of it as there is no box. And so, what do you really want for Huron's community facilities for the next 30 to 50 years? And you know what? Let's think about anything, and then we'll scale it back to what is reasonable and attainable, right?
Put some price
So,
tags and timelines
yeah.
with it.
Well, and I think too, for us to recognize, and I hear a lot about from families who drive by a newer school build somewhere out in the country or somewhere, and they say we need something like that. But people aren't going in and having tours of the school to understand how instructional space needs have changed,
Right.
which is pretty dramatic change from our buildings that were built this long ago. So I think, really being mindful of that entire process. It's the outside, it's the features, but at its core, we're here to teach children. And so what does the inside, the instructional design look like for this? And understand this could be one simple campus. This could be two existing buildings that we renovate and add on to, the way we did out at Firelands, where we thought we were just building a new building and then we didn't. We did a combination of our own money. We did a combination of some money from the state, and then we did some fundraising to help cover some of those extra things. So, like, it could be all things, right? Everything is on the table at this point.
Yeah, there's no pre-selected anything right now. So, yep. But yeah, no, that's good. So for August, I'll have some ideas of kind of like a roadmap of what we can go, and obviously it can ebb and flow. Maybe more of like a nautical plan, right? Where, like, the waves kick up over here, so you cruise over there, as opposed to a road plan. But yeah, that's good. Start building it, because that's going to be one of the big themes next year, is like, what's our master facility going to look like? So.
And then I think too of the conversation we had at the beginning about high school, and of course you need central offices, but what does that look like if we're going to put money into buildings
Right.
that ultimately the community says, you know what, we want all new buildings. Just for us to be mindful, we're having these conversations like simultaneously. So we're mindful of how much money do we want to put in for some of these things, and what can we get by with.
Yeah, and like Stacey, you had a good point. Like, can we just do the safe entranceway? Because even if we do a great job next year and we have the plan and the voters say yes,
So years out,
we're still a
from
couple years out
opening
before we're
doors.
cutting that ribbon
Yeah,
to
I'd
use it.
have
Yeah. So,
zero problem saying to the community, like, we're not going to go 3 years with an uncomfortable situation, right? Like,
Right.
we're gonna put our kids' security first, even if that, especially because we have the state kicking in, $100,000 to
Right.
help us. So they fix some toilets or two, right? Like, it's all good, right? But yeah, but are we going to, put Taj Mahal Board of Education offices?
No.
Not. It makes sense to have a master plan and roadmap that out, right?
I agree. Yep.
Same with the community center and encompassing that discussion, so yeah.
I just have one question. So, what is the lease, or when is the lease up for Shawnee and Montessori and the annex?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember, because
In year 2 or 3.
I think we're going to enter year 2 of 3. Yeah.
You entered into
And
3 last year. Is
Right,
there
yeah.
a real possibility that they may not renew that lease on the annex?
I don't want to speak for them. I know that they're still waiting to hear who this purchaser is, because if they can strike a deal with that entity, then you know, they have interest. They want to stay in the Huron community, but they've outgrown that space, and they're trying to be creative with how to use that space. But at the end of the day, if there's no more classrooms, there's no more classrooms. So yeah, there's a good chance that they might find some other opportunity, like a partnership here, and then that space would be available, or we'd have to decide what to do with it.
That'd be a future office site.
Wondered.
Yep.
I knew they were interested in this building, and it didn't pan out for them, unfortunately. And that leaves us, if for some reason they would, be able to strike up a deal with whoever bought this facility, or they would go elsewhere, that leaves that annex empty without a lease and, opportunities for lots of different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, but as far as like August comes, I'm planning for them to be there, and so I think so are they at this point. Yeah. So.
Discussion. I just want to add one thing to the community representative report since William has arrived. Just wanted to thank him for, I think, another very successful Riverfest. I know the weather was challenging, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I saw nice things down there, so thank you. Appreciate that we were able to take part in it again. And yeah, it was. I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot of people in the parade. It seemed like bigger than last year, and a lot of people out there. So anyway, I'm gonna just pass that on. Okay, next is evaluations of superintendent and treasurer. I know we're a little behind, but I feel pretty confident. I apologize. I meant to do something else, and I didn't have any internet or TV this afternoon, so some things I couldn't do. So I just looked at the evaluations. I'm assuming we want to stick with the evaluation, and so it's on the Google Drive. Everybody should still have it. Yes. So my suggestion is we should be able to have that ready to discuss in August.
The only, if I can.
Sure.
I don't think there's any reason to do an evaluation of an outgoing treasurer.
Well,
Stay focused on the superintendent.
I would agree with that because I know I did not the last time the treasurer left. I didn't.
Well, I don't
But-
know. I don't know. I think even though he wasn't here a whole year, I think that's something that would be beneficial to have in his file. I don't know. I mean, we did an evaluation for Julie as an interim superintendent. I don't know.
I think that's a fair perspective. There's different ways to get at it. I think the one distinction I would have for Julie's versus the current situation is I think evaluations for people who are going to continue on as employees are helpful, right? Because we're giving them that feedback. We, even though Julie changed positions, it was still feedback that was portable, right, to your current role. And Paul's just going. So, to me, I guess I would rather focus our energy on, James's development, and then obviously we'll set goals for our, new treasurer once we get a permanent one in there.
Think about just doing a letter, stating why we didn't do an evaluation for him, that he left, and I don't know. I mean, are we obligated in any way to do an evaluation? Is there an obligation?
I
No, you're
wouldn't
not
think so.
obligated.
I would say probably if he would ask for one, when we all agree to do it. I mean, I'm not sure we even have to do that, but I don't think, to her point.
He's ended his contract. If his contract was continuing, yes,
Yeah.
because it's in his contract annually, but he's stopped short of a year.
Right.
So
Yeah.
no,
Right.
I don't. In my view, we don't have any
I mean, unless
responsibility.
somebody has strong feelings or wants to.
I was open to doing it, but I understand, and I think it makes sense of putting the energy into somebody that, is going to use it to go on for growth within this district based on feedback from us in this position.
And I'd like the way we did it last time. I think doing your own and then not necessarily compiling them, but sitting and talking and then just having one in his file and then copy that we have is
Did
Good.
did he ever return?
Our treasurer? No, he
the-
never did.
So that first, mid-year evaluation has not even been signed by him?
No. Or me.
But it's still a record. It's in
Yeah,
file.
I mean, I did everything I could, but
I guess my 2 cents is that we have a lot to do,
yes.
and I don't know that.
I'm fine with that. That's it. Takes a load off of all of us. And
But to your point, I mean, so we can put something in the file just says, that we, because of the timing of things, we didn't put one in.
I mean, if there's nothing procedurally that we are obligated to do, then, I mean, that's fine. But I don't want to not do something if procedurally we should be doing something, even if it's as simple as just a letter that's signed by the board president saying that year was up. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean,
is that something we could check with Eric on or see if it's just not a.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
me.
check with.
I mean, instead
just-
of, I guess my thought on that, excuse me for interrupting.
We're fine.
If we're gonna spend all your
Discussion's good.
time, why not just write a simple letter and just.
Can't
be
hurt.
covered?
It
Yeah,
can't
it can't hurt. It'll be covered then.
Just a note.
It's a historical record.
Why?
So
And same on the
put a
midterm,
pin in it.
just like a memo
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
midterm
Yeah, we-
saying this was distributed on these dates
Because it's basically
and
not really
it
a
wasn't
file.
returned, yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
evaluative, it's just
No.
noting the history.
Okay.
For James's, if we're coming up on a contract end period, is there any, I mean, is it worth considering trying to get together to do that before technically we cross over into a new one
We mean a contract year.
for,
but like
for
the-
James? Because is there some financial piece tied to it?
Oh, there's the longevity stipend that is tied to it after the completion of the year.
Oh, the evaluation too. That's when
Right.
the evaluation. Yeah, right.
Right.
So there is that piece.
Gotta
of
remember
it.
what our timing was, so it's the end of August for the payment, or end of October for the payment, isn't it?
I think it's specified. I just said in the next year.
Okay, I think we're okay on August, and we'll just,
And that was
we'll
just,
just work
and
at
I
the
had
same pace.
I had kind of talked to him, said I know
Okay,
things kind of just got caught up and
yeah, okay.
we're a little
So we'll
we're a
plan.
little late and I told him what kind of
Well, that's
we were
okay,
thinking
and
about
it's the
too, so-
conclusion of the year, so we'll plan for August.
Yeah, is that all right? I mean, I can't see anybody having trouble with finishing that.
You'll want the interim treasurer in to cut the checks.
It's okay. So, all right. So I liked all that. I appreciate the discussion. I really do. Okay, and then so new business from the board. There is, and I apologize if Mrs. Mass, I didn't send it on. I don't know if she caught everybody. Mrs. Mass is going to be unable to be here in the August and September meetings, but she is willing. She's available other days in August, like the Tuesday, the next day. And I wanted to bring this up now, especially the September, because she's not that flexible in September, but she wants to Zoom from Italy. No, I'm just kidding. Is that because of what I am dealing with, there's always a possibility that I won't be here August or September.
Okay,
So the number one thing is to see if we can agree on moving the date so she can be here. So if I'm not absent, then she would automatically take over. But
Yeah.
then for September, we should do it for both days anyway. Just plan on who would run the meeting in both of our absences.
In September, so the September board meeting is September
Go ahead.
25th?
September?
That seems
Should be
late.
the 18th.
It's
Yeah.
the 18th. So we leave on September 13th.
Okay.
So it doesn't really, we could do it the 12th, but that's a little soon
Yeah, that's
after August. And then we don't get back until the 24th.
That might be tough.
I think we just work. I mean, not that I don't want
Technically, we
to.
only need 3 from quorum.
Right, and I guess I was more concerned again, if I'm not here, she's not here, who's gonna run the meeting?
Can the 3 of us?
And I'd
Yeah.
rather get that in place more formally now than, because obviously if somebody else is missing it, we, so somebody want to volunteer to chair the meeting if both of us aren't here?
Well, do we need to figure out the August one?
Well,
first?
either, I'm thinking, get ready for August too, just in case. But-
This is 21st.
Yeah, can we move August just to the next day? Is that the
Would that
Tuesday?
be the 22nd?
Do we have the
I guess
school
the only
open
question
house?
I have is, I was gonna say for the
Did-
staff,
Oh, okay.
because the 23rd is the first day of school for kids, right?
For kids, yeah.
So just would that be kind of a tax on our
Does that work for you all?
Yeah, that's what we're,
Well, open house is on the 21st, so
tax either way?
is it 22nd? Okay. Do you want to move it to
Yeah, I
another
think
day?
that's fine. No, that's fine.
But it's okay.
I'm all right the 22nd.
Fine with me.
That was a good question, though. So we're moving August to,
Does that work for you, Beth?
As
So
long as we
August.
keep it at 6 p.m.
is that, yeah, okay. August 22nd. And you said that's, you're fine
Oh, yeah,
with that, okay?
that will work.
Okay. So then in September, who could, would be interested in chairing the meeting if I can't be here?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Should we let Betty know about the August one, just sooner than later?
I guess we could discuss that now. I don't think we have to. We have to discuss what we're doing, interim treasure wise.
Oh, I thought we already approved that last.
We
Yeah.
approved her rate of pay, but we haven't
When
Right.
she starts.
asked Dr. Tapman when she could.
She was lined up, I thought.
No.
So you guys approved her for service in fiscal year 24. We're in fiscal year 24. So it's just, do the five of you want to say when to activate her, or do you want to leave that up to me to say? I would like her to have some transition time here in July, just so that she has time to talk to the previous and the other staff.
Well, go ahead.
No, you want
Along with that, should we? What's everybody's feeling? And I guess we would probably need to make a motion for it if we want to assign our current treasurer to. I apologize again. What is the correct name of that home?
Work remote.
Otherwise, doesn't have to come here anyway. Starting a particular date, if we want to do that. If we want to just,
I thought his contract was done, or I thought he was done July 31st.
Can I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss employment? Nobody has to second it. I'm just throwing it out there just so, because I guess I'm a little behind on some things.
okay. So I think we were in the middle of discussing when we wanted Betty to start.
Which
And
all
you're
pertains
thinking
to
that should be
kind
an
of
executive
the
session?
same.
Okay,
Employment of the treasurer.
let's finish new business maybe. And,
Well, then that's all I had. I was just gonna have this
Does anyone else have any new business?
open discussion, that's all.
This,
You have new business?
I have just one small item. Sandy Shu contacted me regarding, wondering if the school board members might, as a collective, want to sign up for some weeding days for the butterfly garden. If there was any interest, and then if we would like to do that as a group or bring family.
Absolutely, that sounds fun.
I will text from her really quickly, if you don't mind. Get an email from me, maybe just throw out some dates right now while we all have our calendars.
Can you explain what that entails?
So there is a butterfly garden in the front of Woodlands that is
I guess I meant just like the reading. Is this like we're reading a story to kids?
No, reading.
No, reading.
Reading.
I thought you
In
said
the labor.
reading.
No, wait.
When you said sounds fun, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You can straighten
How's that? How busy is that cross country team? Can they?
It's like instant gratification.
1.25 miles
Yeah.
down to Woodlands.
Feeds on Wednesday.
Okay.
Meetings on
It's-
Wednesday.
It's tough because I don't know. That's typically when they do it is on Wednesday.
During the day.
I think if we wanted to do it or get our families to do it or whatever, we could choose probably our own time. I don't think beggars can be choosers, can they? Volunteer, not voluntold. So
So we could just show up on a Wednesday and leave.
and help out, yeah.
Okay.
Or we could. I don't think they have like formal sign up as a group.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you know what? I'll get more information from her about timing and
Yeah, you can just
how
email
that
us.
works, and I'll email you guys.
All right. So, if nothing else,
Articulate.
so yes, we need a motion to go in executive session for reasons of the appointment, employment, dismissal, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or employees, as the case may be. I would invite Dr. Tapman and Dr. McDonald, and also say there's a good possibility, very good chance that there will be action after executive session. So, would you like to make that motion?
I do.
Okay.
I will second that.
How am I feeling?
Okay. Mrs. Hartley.
Yes.
Mrs. Henners.
Yes.
Dr. LeFay.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
Yes. So you got the 7:16. Okay.
Shall we go downstairs?
We can. Y'all want, you're gonna stay?
Is that a Gretchen Scott shirt? Yes. I have one of those. I think bought either that one or the last one.
Dude, James, you need to do anything with.
I'm gonna follow you, Dick. Just leave.
Oh yeah, we gotta add that on too. Treasurer, athletic director, and AD guy. Okay. All right. Thank you for hanging out. At this time, I'd entertain a motion dealing with the treasurer.
I'll make a motion that we transition the treasurer position starting tomorrow, July 18th. Excuse me.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? None? Oh,
I think maybe we can just say it's has to do with project start dates and just a smoother transition for the role.
fine.
Ready?
Yep.
Mrs. Hartley.
Yes.
Mrs. Henners.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Dr. LeFay.
Yes.
Mrs. Nance. Yes.
Okay,
So
thank you.
motion.
Do we have any other thing else we need to bring up? Okay. So, that being said, our next meeting again will be on Tuesday, August 22nd at 6 p.m. So that's a change. Thank you, everybody, for that.
Did you want to make a note that we may have to change the location? So
Oh,
we'll
yes.
make sure that we're like
Thank you, and we'll know.
marketing on that.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out in the next 2 weeks, and I'm anticipating it'll be at the high school campus, but
The transition of Shawnee.
we'll make an official notice and notify the press and everything too. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Okay, so we just need a motion to adjourn.
Summer.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Me.
Mrs. Hartley.
Yes.
Mrs. Henners. Yes. Mr. Jones.
yes.
Dr. LeFay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not too bad.
No.
Thank you
Alrighty.
for all your input.
It's time to go see a weird sunset. My book. Which one? My book?
I know. If you want, I can, since I'm gonna be here tomorrow, I can take it. And then, is it off?
Let me, I'm gonna
Yeah.
No, I.
do it, and then